everybody, Raven fans, Oriole fans. Thank you for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports podcast for fans like me. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time here now early in 2024 to get with us and watch the podcast. So thank you very much, Raven fans, Oriole fans. Like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. More of you have been watching. So thank you. Hit the subscribe button. Those of you, more of you that see more views here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the like button for all of our social media platforms as well. Sign up on our X page. Almost said Twitter. Do that. Sign up on our Facebook. We have more Facebook signups as well. Go ahead on our Instagram as well. TikTok. Definitely check us out there. LinkedIn. Go ahead and check out our LinkedIn page as well. More business. Genesis Notary Services /Facebook.com. Definitely check us out on that. Definitely, you can book time, you can book session, you can book with us right here if you live in the Shenandoah Valley. That's actually part of why I had a late video because I had a notary appointment. More people signing. Thank you very much for that as well. Please go to our website, ravorisports.company.site. Definitely check us out. And we will go ahead and get that taken care of as well. ravorisports@gmail.com. Definitely, if you don't see anything on the site, you can go there. And Super Bowl Sunday, hopefully we're going to have Ravens stream that day with the Ravens in the Super Bowl. But we will be here streaming regardless of whoever is in the Super Bowl. So definitely check that out as well. All right, let's get to the business of football. We did have a game on Sunday, almost want to say sort of, that we watched. So Ravens lost 17-10. Squealers were victorious in this one. Squealers, it was a big win for them because of the loss at Jacksonville. So they go ahead and they get in. So they're going to be in the playoffs. We're going to be talking about them when we go over the wild card games. Squealers are in. Ravens lose 17-10. Ravens, for the most part, in large part, were resting a lot of guys. So I think the weather went into that. I think that factored in for John Harbaugh and the coaching staff. They went and said, with the weather being as bad as it was, slushy, sloppy mess that was. So I think that factored in to the decision. Also, too, as well with this game, a lot of guys all of a sudden in the last few weeks were banged up. So I think that factored in as well. So I think a lot of guys were banged up. Kyle Hamilton not at full strength, Marlon not at full strength, things like that. But that is the best part of having the bye. Okay, so they get to rest last week. They didn't play. I think, like, use Marlon for example. He didn't play at the end of the last game. He didn't play in this one, and there's no game this week. So he's got 3 weeks to get healthy. So we're in a situation where if he had to play, maybe you don't have Marlon and he's missing a game. So that's the beauty of it. Last game, that game, Ravens were already winners before it started. They already had secured the number 1 seed. Typical Tyler Huntley game, a little bit more than 50% percentage. I want to make sure I say that right. I don't think I said in the React video. Over 50%, 15 for 28. 146, 1 TD. Could that be last game that we see Tyler Huntley in a Ravens uniform as a quarterback, as a starting quarterback at least? I don't know if he's done enough to hang around. I think like the problem is when guys get to their 5th year, they're free agents. They are asking for more money. You have to pay them a little bit more. I'm not sure if the Ravens want to do that, especially if considering how much money they just gave Lamar Jackson, obviously. But we'll see how the future is for Tyler Huntley. Probably typical Huntley performance, especially playing with the second unit. Gus Edwards gets another touchdown, 16 carries for 68 yards. Excellent season. How fortunate are we to have Gus Edwards? How fortunate have we been the last couple years to have Gus Edwards? How bad would the running game have been without Gus Edwards? I think it was 14 touchdowns he had. Excellent stuff this season for Gus Edwards. For a guy who's supposed to be a backup, he's certainly a good guy to have. He's going to be sharing carries now with, that's official, Dalvin Cook was signed with the Ravens. That's official. They went ahead and did that. Here's another good signing this season, Nelson Aguilar. I tell you what, the stat sheet is not going to be looks like he did great. Watching him, it was fine with me. For a fourth receiver, I can say this about Nelson Aguilar. All season long, he moved the chains. Whenever they needed, a lot of times, I see it with a lot of big third down catches. A lot of times he moving, extending drives. When he came in and limited opportunity, he played well. Wasn't great all the time. Not a starter. I mean, he's not a guy. But I can tell you this much. Had he played more, I think he could have been more productive from what I saw. If he needed to play more. We'll see how this goes in the offseason with Aguilar. I think there's a possibility the door could still be open for him. We will see how that goes. Good stuff this year by Aguilar. How'd y'all like the dance that Jadeveon Clowney did? $700,000 bonus that he got after when he got 9.5 sacks this year. Kyle Van Noy got a sack. That brought his total to 9. Kyle Van Noy, 33 years old, so good stuff from these guys. You know what? You almost forgot about these guys aren't the starters. It was supposed to be the breakout of David Ajabo and Adafi Owe. Owe still on the team, had a few sacks, but these guys, I got to tell you, they again, when you have a season like the Ravens are having, you need guys to come out of nowhere like this. You need guys to come in and step in bigger than you thought they would. Similar like to the Orioles, where like you're getting stuff from Ronald Hearn you didn't think you get from Westberg, etc. You got 9.5 sacks from Jadeveon Clowney, who just signed before camp. So good stuff from them. Mason Rudolph. I don't know how far they can go with this guy. Although I would say he's been better than what they've had. Certainly better than Mitchell Trubisky. At least as good as Kenny Pickett, whatever that's saying. He was supposed to be their guy. I mean, a lot of people, Squeal fans, a lot of people forget that they said like Roethlisberger, they held on to him too long because Mason couldn't really replace him. I mean, he was supposed to be their guy. He's definitely going to be their guy going forward, I think. I don't know about 2024 yet, but I think he's definitely at least, I think, earned his way on the roster for 2024. Najee Harris, good second half. Got 1,000 yards this season. I got to tell you, it really looked different early in the year when they played the Ravens. And Jaylen Warren definitely looked like their number one back way more than Najee Harris. Najee Harris had a good second half, recovered. I think the pass blocking needs a lot of work. And when he's not running through people, and he definitely can do that. He had 112 yards. But he definitely needs to work on his pass blocking. But he's a very good runner. He's got a very good power runner. In that area, he gives exactly what you expect. He's going to have some days I think he's still got some work to do, but definitely he's giving you there exactly what you expect. Deontay Johnson, 4 receptions, 89 yards. Decent day for Deontay Johnson. A lot of attention played to Pickens, so he had the long touchdown. I think that was probably the difference in the game, the long touchdown that Johnson got from Mason Rudolph. So good stuff from him to go ahead and get the long touchdown on the Ravens secondary. As well in this one, T.J. Watt, 2 sacks. Probably, I think, legally may win Defensive Player of the Year, and he won't play anymore probably this year. Definitely got hurt, got off the field. I'll say this about Watt. As good as he is, these injuries now are starting to pile up. He's had a couple of these banged up, missed games. So as great as he's been, he missed like all of last year. So yeah, that's going to be maybe a little bit of a concern going forward with Watt. So Squealers get in the playoffs. It doesn't hurt us too much, obviously, because we are obviously. Wrong thing. So obviously, we are in the playoffs. So definitely, Ravens are going to play in the divisional round as the number 1 seed. So we get to watch Wild Card Weekend and see who the Ravens will play. Ravens will obviously play in this wild card, and they were not going to play in the wild card round. In the divisional round, we get the lowest seed available. So just keep that in mind. So it's not seeded like a traditional tournament where they play 4 or 5 teams. So let's say, for example, the Steelers, like the absolute would be like Pittsburgh. They're the lowest seed. So if some Pittsburgh upsets Buffalo, the Ravens would play Pittsburgh regardless, even though they're the 7th seed, and whoever else makes it would be playing uh, uh, Kansas City or Houston or whoever it is would be the higher seed at that point. So definitely keep that in mind going forward with that. So the Ravens will have home field throughout the AFC all the way through. So definitely keep that in mind. So no game this Sunday, but we got more work to do in the divisional round. So we'll definitely check that out. So let's talk about the title of the stream, the wild card round that the Ravens are not participating in, but we will be watching this weekend to see who the Ravens play, who the Ravens would go to in the next, who would be visiting Baltimore in the next round. Let's talk about our last Big Five of the regular season. We're going to talk about our wild card round here and get that squared away. Last week, Cincinnati and Cleveland, both teams. Shout out to the Bengals a little bit. Good stuff. Considering the circumstances, I mean, they're not making the playoffs, but they had a winning record. The entire AFC North winning record, 9-8. That came in last place in the division. Both of those teams were resting players. Flacco, et cetera, didn't play. Well, the Browns were resting players. Bengals pretty much played their full complement and actually got the winning season. They have a decent backup, so good for them there. Same with LA with the Rams and the 49ers. Rams actually, I think, won that game. They were, again, resting players. We had Carson Wentz against Sam Darnold, not backup quarterbacks on 2 good teams. So definitely both of those teams resting players. San Francisco, despite the loss to the Ravens, was in the same position. They had actually won the NFC the week before, so they're off as well. They get the bye in the NFC, and they get the week off. Josh Allen, great stuff. Josh Allen, I could say this. He's compared to Elway. I kind of see that. Just a phenomenal athlete. Again, the thing you like about him is the thing you don't like about Josh Allen is the picks, the throws downfield, that thing. But that's what makes him great. I like the fact that he's not scared to throw the ball downfield. He makes it happen for him when he needs to. He makes a play. He can do it all by himself, carrying on his back. Miami, yeah. Not surprised that they lost to Buffalo. I think Buffalo is just a better team than they are. Good for the Packers that get in. Packers were able to do this year what they weren't able to do last year. They actually got in, beat the Bears in the last game. Jordan Love, I'm a little surprised by it, honestly. Packers, though, kind of pulled it together and did enough to get the last seed in the playoffs. I thought the best game of the weekend was the Colts and the Texans. C.J. Stroud is no joke. C.J. Stroud is outstanding. Very poised down the stretch. Very calm, everything. Liked it a lot. Colts, they have a lousy owner, I think. They have a weird GM, and I think they have the same problem. They kind of implode because they don't have a quarterback down the stretch. Kind of the same thing we've seen three straight years with Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz, and now Minshew, not good enough to go against a team with a better quarterback in the last game and get them in, even in a home game this year. So Colts with a lot of the same issues. Like, why don't you blame Minshew? Why don't you blame Minshew for all your problems? Or say like you've been doing, like you did with Wentz, like with that ridiculousness a few years ago. Okay, so great storylines in these games. Great storylines. You couldn't write a lot of these storylines in all of these games. So excellent stuff here. We're going to get a great slate of games. I think only one game I think is a bit of a mismatch. Other than that, really, really good storylines, really good really good interest in a lot of these games. Knew this was going to be the first game. Texans, for whatever reason, whenever they get in, they always get the Saturday early game. That's exactly what happened. They're going to be playing Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns. And when we talk about storylines, old versus young, youth versus age. Joe Flacco, one of the oldest players in the NFL. I think Joe is 38 now against the rookie CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud, to me, I don't vote obviously, but he get my vote for rookie of the year. Flacco is a resurgence for him. Get him on a good team. He's gotten his team in the playoffs. One that kept the starting job. Fantastic. The Browns defense is serious business. I think this is probably, along with the Ravens, the best defense in the NFL this year. I think Myles Garrett is a handful for anybody, even though they have a good left tackle. I think in Houston, I think Tunzel, I think, is one of the better left tackles. But their whole front seven is fantastic. Denzel Ward, their back end, I think he's going to give them a lot of problems. Stroud pressed me tons. Pressed me in the post game and pressed me all. But the problem here with them is they haven't been here before. You got a rookie head coach. You got a rookie quarterback. Some people say, well, it's overrated to have that. I'm not so sure. I like the Browns are not going to be in over their skis in the moment. I think the Texans haven't been here. Very young team, very young coach, first-time head coach in the playoffs. And I think the defense would be too much here. I think even though he's been as good as he's been, I think the Browns defense is on another level. I think Browns win this game. The Dolphins went ahead. They went ahead and got into the playoffs a little while ago, and they're going against the Chefs in Arrowhead. It'll be unusually cold in Arrowhead for this one when the Chefs play the Dolphins. I'm a surprise some people. I don't like him. I like the Dolphins in this one. I really do. The Dolphins, I know their problems. They have a lot of guys get hurt on defense. They lost Bradley Chubb. They lost a couple of their linebackers. They're not sure if they're going to have Xavier Howard in this game. So they definitely have problems. Offensively, they've struggled a bit in recent weeks, I think. The big thing for them, one thing that I do like, is they are probably getting Mostert back. That's a big deal. They are getting Jalen Waddle back. That's a big deal. They're getting their two guys back. Storyline here, Tyreek Hill going to Kansas City. Can he knock out the Chiefs, the team that traded him away, in the playoffs? They don't lose much at home. So Kansas City this year, not the number one seed now this year. You're in the wild card round, and you're playing Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins. I like them here. The Chiefs, I could tell you I don't like them. they kind of, I think, gotten a pass from a lot of people. Their offense is not really good. Kelsey's been good, but he's been hurt. He's banged up. He's older. Their receivers haven't helped. Their offensive tackles have really struggled all year long. Their defense is pretty good, but it's not great. It's not what we just talked about, like Cleveland, Baltimore, San Francisco, or anything like that. So it's not that. And I think they kind of caught a break with the schedule. I think had they had a tougher schedule, they really would have been exposed. Even the win they had against Cincy, unimpressive. I like Miami. I do. I think Miami wins this game and knocks out Kansas City. This is a mismatch, I think. Squealers got in against against Buffalo. This is the early window on Sunday. That's good because you go to Buffalo. It's so cold. I'm glad they're not making them play at 8 o'clock. The Squeals have no chance to beat Buffalo. This is the one I think is a complete mismatch. I think it's good that they got in. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. Hey, look, got 10 wins out of this team. Team didn't play well all year long. I shout out to him. He got them there. Good for him. I don't think there's anything here. They're not going to have Watt. I think the only way they lose this game, frankly, the Bills, is if they beat themselves. Allen had a couple picks in that one, and I think that kept Miami in the game. So he's going to have to tighten up a bit against the Squealers if he wants to win. But I think they win this one pretty handily. I like Buffalo in this one. Cowboys and Bills. Cowboys in the pack. Green Bay Packer. Green Bay is very good, considering how much better Jordan Love has got. Jordan Love has really improved during the year. He was a guy, every time I watched him, all he did was dink dunk. Everything was short, short. And if he tried to throw the ball down the field, it was picked off. If he tried to throw the ball downfield, he's been working on his downfield accuracy. He's been working on his receivers. That's very good. And I think as he got better, the Packers got better. Mike McCarthy, here's a guy who replaced him. He's going against Matt LaFleur, a guy that replaced him on a full-time basis in Green Bay. He went ahead, gets the job in Dallas. Little bit of pressure on McCarthy as well. Jerry Jones said they would take it game by game. I think they're probably a better team than Green Bay is. I think Green Bay, kind of the same thing I feel here as I do with Houston. Not really been here before. Jordan Love, first time as a starter, even though he's not a rookie. Christian Watson, outstanding young receiver that they have. The good stable of running backs, defense decent enough. I don't know what's going on with Jair Alexander. That he acted like a fool with the coin toss, all that. Dallas should win this game. I would say this: a little bit of pressure on them here. Losing this round would not be good, and I think there's a little bit of pressure on him. I think they come out tight here, but I think they win. I think there's too much. They have too much talent not to lose Green Bay. I don't think Green Bay has enough talent. This game, probably, if this was a WWE, this is the main event. Talk about storyline here. We talk about guys playing their former team, coaches. This is the best of all. Matt Stafford going to play a game in Detroit, a playoff game. Finally, Stafford is to play a playoff game against Detroit. Detroit, the number 3 seed, going against the Lions, winning their first division title. This is good stuff. And here's why it's really good. These two teams are very, very, very similar. They run the ball. They have good quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks, good running games, multiple back. Kyron Williams on one side, Jamar Gibbs on the other side, outstanding receiver, Amon St. Brown, Puka Nacua. Two very, very evenly matched teams here. I'm pretty sure the defense on the Lions is better than the Rams. I think that's the thing here. So it's really going to be tough to go against Stafford. I'm taking Detroit in this game. I like them. I don't think they've got this far to. They're certainly not going to be sleepy here. Goff, I think, especially wants to win this game. Everybody's talking about the Stafford thing. Goff wants to win this game, I think, in the worst way. I think he's got the superior team. They're going to be at home winning this game. I think they win this game. That's probably of the two teams, that even though they're kind of evenly matched. The Lions defense, not. The Rams defense outside of Aaron Donald, not in love with it here. These are two teams, obviously, here in the playoffs that are fortunate to be here. I think these are two teams. I think this is probably the worst team overall. The Bucs, they're going to be hosting the Eagles, who have been scuffling, to say the least, the last few weeks. Eagles have been banged up. I think that's clear. Hurts is not the same. He's clearly not the same. He's definitely injured the last few weeks. They've lost a bunch of guys to injury. I think that's why they scuffle. And even when they were winning, it was just by the hair of the chin. They won a lot of close games, and I think that took a lot out of them. I think the steam is a lot out of them. Here's the thing. I think they're kind of catching a break here in this one because I don't think the Bucs are a very good team here. They're about average. They were in a lousy division. Mayfield is really not good in the playoffs here. They are at home. I think that'll help them a little bit. But I don't think there's enough bullets in the gun. They have some decent receivers in Tampa. That's about it. Decent enough line. I think the Eagles defense will show up. I think it's good enough. I think, though, it'll be close. I don't think there's enough there because the Eagles, even when they win, it's close. I like the Eagles in this one. I don't think Tampa wins a playoff game. There you go. There is your wild card. Excellent slate of wild card games. I think that was about as good of a wild card round as far as I'm looking forward to without the Ravens in it as I can remember. So great stuff for the wild card round there as well. Definitely enjoy all the games Saturday through Monday. That's why they're calling it Super Wild Card Weekend. College football playoff. College football is over. We have a national champion, Michigan Wolverines. Big wide streets in Detroit, if you've ever been there. Hail to the victor. Michigan was the best team in college football this year. I kind of said that, not just because Maryland was in the Big Ten. I don't think there was any question. There was question on the field. In the initial game against Alabama, they were a little tight, in my opinion. They were a lot tight. Alabama, I think they could have really beat them, but they had too many mistakes. Interception by McCarty. I think they had 2 muff punts, punt returns. They had a missed field goal. It just almost gave that one away. This one, they had played it. They were a little more relaxed, and they got through it. Washington's still really good. Penix, I think they just beat them up. Too physical. The physicality of the Wolverines, they took advantage, and that's what did them in. They just pounded them into the ground. Penix really looked beat up at the end of the game. Michael Penix, the Washington quarterback, really looked beat up at the end of the game. That's what went ahead and did it. I think that's what went ahead. What you're seeing now a lot in college football, and it was evident in this game, why Michigan won the national title. They had beef. They had guys on the interior. They had good, strong offensive linemen. You see so many teams now, you see it in the NFL. Miami, good on the outside, but you don't have power. Teams like Colorado this year, the Buffalo, good on the outside. The Terps even a little bit. This is Michigan, a complete team. Didn't have great receivers. They're going to have 3 or 4 guys on offense in the NFL. Some of them, they're outstanding. Jim Harbaugh, I think he's gone after this game too, as well. I don't see him staying. I don't think anybody mentioned the result of the game mattering. I think it did. I think that was the thing. I think if he had lost, I think he might have left anyway. But I think the fact that he won, that matters a lot. I think he could kind of, at this point, you know what? Now I can go to the NFL. I have that on my resume. I could go ahead and go off. I think he wants to go to the NFL, and he will sign with a particular team. I think the Chargers would be very attractive for him, but definitely good stuff for Michigan. This wasn't much of a game. 34-13, Wolverines over the Washington Huskies. That also, too, was the last game, and this wasn't mentioned a lot, of the Pac-12. So no more Pac-12 after last night. Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC, all going to the Big Ten. I think it's Colorado, Arizona State. I think it's Utah going to the Big 12. And I think the last, I don't think I got it right. I think Stanford, Cal going to the ACC along with SMU. And also lastly, I think the 2 remaining teams, Oregon State and Washington State, they're going to go to the Mountain West, at least for a little while. They have a weird arrangement where they're in the conference, but they're not in the conference for football only because they were the last 2 teams that didn't find a conference. So, so that's happened there. So congratulations to the Wolverines winning the national title. Terps basketball. Whew. Man, oh man, oh man. Getting worried. Not good last game. Terps losing to Minnesota on the road. I would say a lot of fans getting on. A lot of you fans, Terp fans, are getting on Kevin Willard. I don't. The Terps haven't. They kind of. they kind of had the same problem last year. They didn't really get better where they need to get better. They're kind of the same. You got Jameer Young's a killer, and they really don't have any other scores. Nights where he doesn't play well, nights where he's off, they struggle. Defensively, they seem to have some issues too. They're not really getting after defensively. They have Jordan Geronimo, two defensive stoppers, and Dante Scott, and those guys. Teams are kind of scoring on them. Good teams are kind of scoring a lot of points on them. So we will see what's going on. A lot of fans were getting on Kevin Willard. I mean, this is not a good start to lose a game like that. Those are games you gotta win. We haven't even gotten to Illinois that you're gonna play this week that's in the top 10. Maybe they're in the top 10, maybe top 15. I think they may stay there in the top 15. And you got Michigan State coming up, like on the 20th, I think it is. So definitely check that out. So sticking with the Terps, if they want to play in March in the NCAAs, they better start turning it around because this hasn't been a good start at all to their Big Ten season. Let's talk a little sports media. Let's talk about Shannon Sharpe, Club Shay Shay, former Raven, interview with Cat Williams this week. I'm not going to talk about the black comedy side of Steve Harvey and all that. I'll let everybody else do that. I will say this, the business side of it, sports media, we are going to talk about that because these numbers that he's turning in are just bananas. I'm going to look at it again here. I think this video is at 40 million views. I'm not sure. I thought I heard somebody say it's at 40 million views. So I'm recording this late on Tuesday. So hold on here. I'm going to see here. And see what the view count. 40 million views. And that's just 40 million views. And that's just the main video. Yeah, it's at 40 million. That's the main video. That's not even having it cut up in other ones. There are other ones there with millions of millions. I mean, that interview has been watched. If you do all the views, he's at 100 million. So shout out to Shannon Sharpe getting that done. Of course, people are upset about it. Of course, you find things to be upset about. In that, when he left, I will say this too. When he left FS1. And apparently he was kicked out. Apparently, I mean, that wasn't obvious. There was some animosity there, etc., a little uncertainty for him. I was kind of sure, though, he would kind of start doing things outside of sports. That's the way his kind of Club Shay Shay was going. I think that's the direction he's going. So he seems to be doing what a lot of these guys are doing. More and more, some of these athletes, they're kind of getting it now. You see Michael Strahan, you see Nate Burleson, you see Jason Whitlock, you see guys, you see Shannon Sharpe, obviously Stephen A. Smith is they're kind of going in lanes outside of sports too and in sports. So that's kind of what you see a lot now with some of these guys with the social media content as well. So shout out for Shannon Sharpe getting that squared away. Pat McAfee calls out an ESPN executive, Norby Williamson, very high-ranking person at ESPN. He basically went on air and said, yeah, you're trying to sabotage our show. This is maybe a little inside media thing. That don't go on often. That doesn't go on. In radio, you see things like that all the time. Like you used to see things like that, especially if a guy knows he's getting fired or whatever, or things like that. I get frustrated. DJs will kind of say weird things or whatever. And sometimes, but in television, certainly you never see anything like that. It kind of started with Aaron Rodgers talking about Jimmy Kimmel, and they've kind of had a back and forth the last few days. I'm not going to go into that part of it. The thing is, because I think the bigger deal is what McAfee did. And I'll say this, I must veer off sports a little bit here, but that's what's going on in the workforce nowadays. a lot of people, these guys like Norby Williams, these guys like this executive ESPN, a lot of people in the workforce, you're losing power. People are telling you where to go. I see that on my actual job, my 9 to 5, the last couple ones I've had. People are not scared, the executives scared of losing these jobs anymore. So they're telling you where to go. And certainly a guy, McAfee, generational wealth, guy who's built up his own platform, you're not gonna do that. He's gonna call you out publicly. There's 3 things that have to happen when you even a Pat McAfee in this situation. Very quickly, you got to be right, because it must have been true what he said. I don't know this obviously, so this is my opinion. It must have been true what he said, because they still would have been upset. So it must have been true what he said. You have to have power in the organization, which he definitely does. That contract gives him a lot of leverage or whatever. They're still early in it. And also to you have power, you have leverage, and he's got other friends high in there as well. So that's when you do that. That's when you call out somebody like that. So if he thought everybody was going to back him, that didn't happen. So good for Pat that he went ahead and called out that ESPN executive on air by name. No, I mean, my God, I've never seen that ESPN. Couple things before we shift to baseball here. Arthur Blank denied that he had cap space enough for Lamar Jackson in the offseason, because Arthur Blank was let go. They didn't even wait till Monday. They fired him Sunday night. I saw that during Sunday Night Football, where they had and fired Arthur Blank. He was 7-10, I think, 3 straight years. So they went ahead and they let him go. The reason I haven't mentioned Lamar Jackson and the Falcons more is because of what happened. Kind of summed it up. They weren't relevant enough. They didn't win enough games. I mean, I didn't have them in big sides enough to talk about it, but they were the most obvious team that could have signed Lamar in the offseason. There was a lot of teams that could have, but I think the Falcons had the cap space. They had a coach there. They went with Desmond Ridder and thought that was going to be better than Lamar Jackson. The fact that the question was even asked by Atlanta media kind of tells you what they thought. The fact that you even asked that question tells you all you need to know. Why would they ask about Lamar Jackson? Oh, yeah, Lamar is in the playoffs. Again, that's what you would be talking about if you went ahead and sign Lamar. So I'm still amazed by that. And it's not just Atlanta. I think Atlanta, to me, they're the biggest one because they clearly had the cap space, clearly had the resource. Like Washington, I think they had an ownership change. There were some other teams that could have, but there were other issues or things like that. Like the Jets, they already signed her. So, but I think Atlanta, you go out there with no quarterback out there for no reason when you could have signed Lamar Jackson. He had the room to do it. So that's insane. So they deserve what they got. They're looking for a coach now. Falcons, Arthur Blank clearly denied it. I mean, and it'd be fair to him in one sense. What else would he say? Like, oh, I made a mistake, or he's not going to say that. Why would he say that? Even though it was, obviously. But he clearly screwed that up. So Falcons are looking for a coach. 6 openings. Also, real quick, didn't do a graphic. Mike Vrabel surprisingly let go by Tennessee. Rumblings I had been hearing the last week in the media that something was going on in Tennessee with that. Clearly, I think, and Mike just guessed, direction of the team. That's what they didn't like. What was going on. I think there was a little argument about that. I think, and I haven't heard anything about Belichick yet, surprisingly, that he could be going to New England. All right, let's shift to baseball. So what we're going to do here, still in baseball offseason, and we're going to start doing like we did with football, some top 10 lists, some of the best catchers in the MLB. So we're going to do all the positions on the diamond. We're going to do catcher, first base, et cetera, starting pitcher. We're going to finish with managers, top 10 lists in the MLB. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do top 10 lists for the Orioles as well after this. So let's go. Top 10 list, top 10 catchers in Major League Baseball. This guy's an offensive player. I think he's been pretty good for a while. Still hanging around in the top 10. He gets you 20 plus home runs. He's one of the better power hitters. Sal Perez of the Kansas City Royals. Good stuff here for him. Over 30, so I think his production may drop, but he's been really good offensively the last couple of years. Defense matters. That's why he's not higher. Defensive now with the pitch clock makes a big difference now with the quality of catcher going forward. Cal Raleigh still hanging in there for Seattle Mariners. Good stuff here. Numbers are decent. Probably this is about where you would put him, around 9. Could be ascending. Could get a little better. I think it kind of showed he's got some good. He's a decent enough hitter. Number 9, I think that's about right for him. He could be higher. I think he's got some potential, but about 9 is about right for him. Here is for sure the ascending player for the Nats, Caleb Ruiz. Definitely. Look, he might be one of their best players, I think, going forward. The Nats are in the middle of a rebuild. They're in the middle of ownership. This is going to be one of the building blocks. I think he's a guy we could be doing this next year, and he's in the top 10. Offensive stats got better absolutely in the second half. I think he drives the ball very well. I don't know if he's going to be a massive power hitter, but most catchers aren't. Decent behind the plate, solid. Like him going forward, Caleb Ruiz, number 7. Interesting. Wilson Contreras. Is he a catcher? I'm going to leave him a catcher. Cards had him benched. Well, I wouldn't say benched, but they moved him to full-time DH last year. And after they signed him to this large contract after losing Yadier Molina, then they went ahead and put him back at hitter, back at catcher. So a little bit there. Defensive, again, can't put you higher if the defense isn't higher. With the pitch clock and everything, you got to be able to throw runners out. It's much harder to throw runners out. There's going to be more running, so I can't do it. Offensively, he's fine. Not outstanding, but fine. Definitely in the top 7 offensively. William Contreras, definitely. Now, this is a solid hitter. This is one of the, now we're entering the real solid hitting catchers. I think one of the backbone pieces for the Brewers. Definitely a guy, outstanding, I think, pretty good behind the plate, unlike the other Contreras. Very good defensively, solid hitting guy. Average, I like to see it a little bit higher. That's about it, but decent production for him. I think also too, I'd actually think if he was on a better team offensively, I think he could do more if he was more protected in the lineup. I think he's one of these guys. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith. Watch out, Chris Rock. Will Smith is outstanding hitter. I think he kind of had a tale of 2 seasons last year. He was really good at the start, and then he kind of faded out a bit. He's pretty good. I think this is one of the better catchers in the National League. I think he's definitely a guy good defensively as well. That's the thing here. Good defensively. I think he's a little better than he even gets credit for behind the plate. I really like him behind the plate. Good offensive numbers, good batting average for him. I like Will Smith, number 5. This is a guy who might be number 1 for some people. I think he's dipped a bit, getting a little bit older. JT Rumalato for the Phils. Outstanding defensive player. I really like him. Throws out a lot of runners. Good hitter, timely hitter. So you're not going to have like 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, but definitely an outstanding guy, compliment guy. Kind of like what I was just saying, Contreras, he actually has that in where he is. So good stuff from him as well. Rumalato, you could count on 20 and 80 if he's healthy a whole season. Here is also up and coming Jonah Heim for I almost said Dow, Texas Rangers. Outstanding hitter. One of the better young hitters, all-star level hitter as well. Good behind the plate. Definitely count on him for 20 and 80 if healthy. Pretty close to 1. These two, pretty close to 1. I wouldn't even argue. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even argue if you said 1 with him. I think with him, I think it's definitely, if you said him higher, I got really no problem with that. He's really good. Sean Murphy was fantastic last season. I think he faded a bit kind of like Will Smith. Not great all year long. I think he faded. That's why he's like in the number 2 spot. Sean Murphy, I think, was really good though. I think defensively, I think he's number 1. I think if it's just defense, I like Sean. I love Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is great with pitching staff. He's got a good pitching staff in Atlanta. I think I really like him behind the plate. I think, yes, I would definitely put him as the best defensive catcher. Good offensive player, but not as good as number 1, our guy, Adley Rutschman. Number 1, Adley sensational. Any way you slice it. This doesn't swing at bad balls. Great batting eye. He's going to hit around 300, hit 20-plus home runs. Outstanding behind the plate. Hugs the catchers. Leadership. Everything you want. Best catcher in the league for many years to come. Adley, number 1 as far as the best catchers in MLB. And we will go over that as well next week. Obviously, first base. We'll go over that. All the positions this year. So, one more segment that we have, and that is the best plays of 2023. So now we are here first week of now into the second week of January in 2024. So we're going to take a look at the best plays of 2023, the top 10 plays list I have put together. Now, obviously, unfortunately, I can't do video of these things because you know what YouTube's going to do. They're going to head and take the channel down on YouTube and Facebook and all that other stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do little audio clip with my description of these top 10 plays. So we're going to go ahead and get that squared away here. Let's start with number 10.
Oh boy. 3-2 Gunner. High in the air to right field. Look out below. Oh, what a big blast. This is what you've been waiting for, folks. This is Gunnar Henderson.
Did that say 460-some feet? Oh.
462-foot home run. Third longest home run of the season for the Orioles. Gunnar Henderson crushed that ball against the Royals. Gunnar, I think that was really a turning point for him. Gunnar got off to a bit of a slow start, everybody's forgetting, but that really got him going. That was number 10, Gunnar Henderson, getting a 400-plus foot home run. Here's the mount.
It's amazing that ball can move at that velocity. The 2-2. He threw him a fastball at 103. Holy smoke. Yeah, that about described it. There's some, we say ball's smoke.
So that was the great Jim Palmer going, holy smoke, with a Felix Bautista fastball. Too bad we're not going to have the mount in 2024. But he throws 103 mile-an-hour fastball, 103.3 against the Reds. Got the strikeout there in that pitch. He was, that was probably, I think it was the 7th hardest or 6th hardest pitch of the season all year. Hardest pitch of the Orioles season as well. So you got the mount getting the strikeout, number 9. Number 8. Adley.
There goes the runner, Marisnik. Rutschman's throw is right into Westberg's glove. Didn't even have to move the tag. Wow. How did he catch that ball?
I don't know how he caught it, and I don't know how Rutschman got it out either. I mean, Marisnik had an outstanding jump from first base. I mean, it almost felt like no chance at all, but you can't throw.
That was a sick throw from Adley, if you watch the video on that. Adley, that guy, look, this is so important now with the pitch clock and everything, having a guy like Adley be able to throw guys out. Guy had a huge lead Mishnick for the Dodgers. Also, to great work on this play from Jordan Westberg. Jordan Westberg is an outstanding second baseman. Not nearly talked about it enough. So great throw, great pitch from Adley. Defensive play, Adley gets number 8. Number 7, more defense.
Mullins, Superman. Here's a fly ball right center from Kyle Isbell. Oh my! Yes way! Cedric Mullins, Superman.
Yes way. That's what he said. So that was a catch from Cedric Mullins, diving catch against the Royals in September. Mullins must have ran during that play. He must have ran at least 20 yards for him to dive and catch that one. Mullins, I think, is an outstanding center fielder still. I mean, some of the plays he made, if you watch the highlight tape of a Cedric Mullins, you're gonna love it, because this guy, he must have ran at least if this was a football game, he must have ran at least 15 yards, caught it on the warning track, dove and caught it. Outstanding stuff. One of my personal favorite plays all season long, Anthony Santander.
For his last 25.
And this one is a fair ball down the line. It'll head into the corner. This gets Rutschman home. Santander digging for 2, and he is in, standing up. Anthony Santander snaps the 0-for, and 0-for 25 is no more. This is a 1-run game, and the tying run is at second base.
That was one of my favorite games, I think, of the 2023 season. Anthony Santander really struggled, was really struggling. 0 for 25 in that at bat. So he goes and doubles to right, knocks Rutschman home, and actually gets on the board for the Orioles. Later in that inning, Gunnar goes ahead and hits a home run. Orioles last also in that game. I remember Kyle Perez had been struggling. Fantastic down the stretch. One of my favorite games all season long of all 162. Outstanding stuff. I think that right there was the catalyst of it. Anthony Santander getting the double to right and knocking home Adley Rutschman. Let's get a little more Anthony Santander.
Santander to right. Santander to right. And this baby's gone. Some magic on a Friday night in downtown Baltimore.
So a Santander walk-off to beat the Yankees 1-0. This guy's a better player than anybody gives him credit for. He really, really came through. Outstanding power hitter, needed there. Low-scoring game. He got the only run of the game there. Orioles were able to win. Santander, number 5. Number 4. I love this.
Rutschman, deep right field. He's headed to the home run derby, and he's playing a little long ball here. That's an upper deck shot. And Rutschman, a no-downer. The Orioles make it a 10-1 ball game. He'll do it in Minneapolis. First.
I think they're lying when they say it was 461. If you watch that, that was more than that. Rutschman crushed it. That ball was way in the upper deck. In a park in Minnesota, not that easy to hit the long ball. Rutschman, number 4, with the long home run. Here's one that's even longer.
Signed as a shortstop.
Oh. That is hammered. Deep left center field. How far is this one going to go? Gone.
That was a wow shot.
Over both bullpens. Rarely see a ball go out that way.
That ball was blasted.
I mean, when you hit a ball like that, you feel nothing, man. You feel absolutely nothing.
472 feet.
Wow.
It is the longest Orioles home run this year.
The longest Oriole home run in 2023. Mountie, he's the best pure power hitter. That thing was way on Utah Street there. So that was outstanding stuff by Mountie, longest home run of the year. That's number 3. Number 2 should be pretty easy.
This team, folks, it's a different way to win every night.
1 ball and 2 strikes from Diekman. Mullins into center field. This should do it. Margot going back. It does not matter. Adley Rutschman will score. And the Orioles, who clinched a postseason berth just a few minutes ago, seal their fate with a walk-off win.
So that was the walk-off, clinching the postseason against the Tampa Bay Rays. But you know, number 1 had to win the division.
1 out to go. The 1-1 to Story is grounded to third. Ramon Urias from third. The Orioles have done
So
it.
Hearn.
Go crazy, Baltimore. You are the new champions of the American League East. This Oriole team, they have been through so much. 2 years ago, 100 losses. 2 years later, 100 wins. And the road to the World Series in the American League will run right through Baltimore, Maryland.
So there you go. Orioles win the American League East. How about that? So winning the division, definitely now team has high expectations. Team has won 100 games last year. We'll see how it goes in 2024. Nothing's really happened outside of the Kimbrel signing. I know a lot of fans have been asked about Dylan Cease. I don't think they're going to sign him. Nothing has really happened. Eventually, something probably, once we get to spring training, you'll probably see something more significant. It's been basically slow in terms of hot stove as far as signings, really. Ohtani signed, and a lot of people thought after that stuff would happen. Really, not a lot has happened there in terms of off-season signings, but we'll stay on. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this week on our Ravery Sports podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms if this content was good for you. Tell all your friends. Thank you for joining us. You have a great rest of your day.